My younger brother is going to drop out of school and elope with a female fugitive. When I tried to stop him, he accidentally pushed me down the stairs, leaving me disabled for life. Later, he was forced to compromise, was admitted to college, and went on to achieve success and fame. But he resents me for imposing moral pressure on his life, pushing him to better himself, and breaking up his relationship. He kicked me out of the house, and I died of illness on the street. Before he died, he warned me, "You Wanwan, in your next life, don't meddle in other people's business." When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back in the year when he was planning to elope with Zheng Qian. This time, as he wished, I granted his wish. I'd rather see. Without my support, how far could he possibly go? "Sis, give me 1,000 yuan. My teacher told me to buy study materials for the exam." A familiar voice, a familiar scene. When I opened my eyes, I saw the 17-year-old Yuhan. He was standing outside the fast food restaurant where I work, demanding money from me, and his tone was very impatient. "Hurry up. I have to go study in a little while. It's too messy here. I don't like it." Dressed in a crisp white shirt and sneakers, he looked like a young master who was completely detached from the mundane world. Seeing that I didn't react, he couldn't help but frown, and he stopped calling me sister. "You Wanwan, did you hear me? Give me the money right now." It was only then that I realized I had truly been reborn. Thinking about the disdainful tone Yuhan had just used, I couldn't help but find it incredibly ironic. Our family went bankrupt, and my parents died young, leaving only Yuhan and me to rely on each other. To take care of him, I've been working part-time while attending school since I was 12. Legitimate restaurants wouldn't dare hire child labor, so to make money, I had no choice but to go to those seedy little joints and beg the owners to keep me on, even if it meant doing the dirtiest work for the lowest pay. But in the end, I still grew up, stumbling along with Yuhan by my side. Fortunately, Yuhan has been performing well and has consistently ranked among the top students. When I realized that the money I earned was only enough to support one college student after much internal struggle, I decided to let him go to college instead. But Yuhan showed no consideration for me, his older sister. Instead, he took all of this for granted. During his senior year of high school, Yuhan's spending became increasingly extravagant. He's always using the excuse of buying materials to ask for 1,000 or 2 yuan at the drop of a hat. It wasn't until later that I found out he hadn't gone to buy any materials at all. He had fallen in love with a female fugitive named Zheng Qian. Zheng Qian herself mentioned her status as a female fugitive when she was boasting in front of others. She used to be a street tough. She once killed an old man while speeding on a motorcycle, and one of her gang brothers took the fall for her. So she claimed to be a female fugitive. Yuhan tricked me into staying at a classmate's house, but in reality, Zheng Qian, that female fugitive, took me to an internet cafe where we played video games all night. Yuhan tricked me into buying study materials and workbooks and paying for tutoring, but in reality, he was taking Zheng Qian shopping for handbags and jewelry. He learned to skip class, started smoking and drinking, and would even kiss Zheng Qian passionately on the street without a care in the world. To make Zheng Qian happy, he spent every last penny of the meager savings he'd earned by working himself to the bone on her. Later on, just because Zheng Qian said one thing, Yuhan, birds and fish follow different paths. You have your own sky, but I am trapped in the sea. Once you get into college, we'll break up. Yuhan couldn't bear to part with her. He actually gave up the chance to go to college and decided to take Zheng Qian with him to work in Shenzhen. In my previous life, as soon as I found out, I rushed to stop him without a second thought. Little did anyone know, he was head over heels in love. While trying to stop him, he accidentally pushed me down the stairs. I was left with a lifelong disability. Someone filmed the incident and posted it online. Faced with public criticism, he was forced to compromise. He stayed to take the college entrance exams, take care of me, and break up with Zheng Qian. But really, he just left me at home and didn't care one bit whether I lived or died. He spent my savings, which I had set aside over the years, and the 300,000 yuan in donations from online supporters that I had received in exchange for my disability, with a clear conscience. Back then, he was always well-dressed, preying on the goodwill of netizens, yet growing increasingly cold and heartless. Later, I heard that Zheng Qian got married to someone else less than 2 years later. As for Yuhan, he was admitted to a prestigious university, rose steadily through the ranks, and eventually achieved great success and fame. But he no longer recognizes me as his older sister. He resents me for morally blackmailing him back then, forcing him to go to school, controlling his life, and breaking up his relationship. When I was on my deathbed, he even kicked me out of the house. I died on a street covered in heavy snow. Just before I died, I saw Yuhan step out of the luxury car and stop beside me. My haggard face was reflected in his expensive, shiny leather shoes. "Little brother, save me. Don't you want your big sister anymore?" I grabbed the hem of his pants, trying to get him to take me to the hospital. But all she got in return was his cold, derisive laugh. "Sis? You crippled hick, do you even deserve to be my sister? You Wanwan, you deserve to die 1,000 times over in this lifetime. In the next life, remember not to meddle in my business or control my life." What a great line, he deserves to die 1,000 times over. The agonizing struggle before death is still vivid in my mind. When I came to my senses again, the 17-year-old Yuhan standing before me gradually began to merge with the Yuhan from my previous life, the one who had stood by and watched me die without lifting a finger to help. I hate myself for having once let family ties blind me to the bigger picture. I couldn't even recognize that the younger brother I'd raised with such dedication and hard work was actually an ungrateful wretch. Just then, Yuhan strode into my little dive. "You Wanwan, what are you dawdling for? Why haven't you transferred the money to me yet?" He got impatient waiting, so he just took my phone, unlocked WeChat, and transferred 1,000 yuan to his own account. After she finished, she didn't forget to tell me with a cold expression, "I'm going to a classmate's house tonight to study, so don't call me unless it's urgent." Review? He took the money, and now he's probably off somewhere with Zheng Qian, isn't he? I didn't call him out on his lame lie. Instead, I feigned concern and said, "Bro, go ahead and do what you need to do. If it gets too late, you don't have to come back, you can just stay at a classmate's place. Also, spend that 1,000 yuan sparingly, once it's gone." "It's gone." Yuhan clearly heard what I said, but he ignored me completely. Without uttering a word, he walked away, leaving me with nothing but his aloof back. Clearly, he didn't take my words to heart at all. He doesn't know yet, but this 1,000 yuan will be the last time I satisfy his material desires. In this life, I will do as he wishes and never again interfere with any of his decisions. I'll let him and Zheng Qian be together. I'd rather see. Without my support, how far could he really go? After Yuhan took the money and left, I went straight to the boss. "Boss, I'm quitting." The boss was completely taken aback. He's always been aware of the situation between me and Yuhan, and he knows how much I value this hard-won job opportunity. But I told him, "Well, boss, I'm not working here anymore. I'm going back to school. I don't want to ruin my life for Yuhan anymore." The boss said he understood. Not only did he promptly pay me the rest of my wages, but he also gave me an extra 2,000 yuan. "You're still so young, and you've been working to support your younger brother, it really hasn't been easy. Consider this a little bonus. Look, even a stranger knows how hard it is for me to make a living. But my own younger brother, of all people, treats me like nothing more than an ATM. Ming, I'm only 2 years older than Yuhan, after all." Yuhan didn't get home until very late that night. As soon as he saw the empty dining table, his expression darkened instantly. He tossed his backpack down impatiently, pressed his thin lips together, and demanded coldly, "Why didn't you cook?" "I went to school all day, and when I got home, there wasn't even anything to eat." "You Wanwan, you're really something. Is this how you promised Mom and Dad you'd take care of me? When his parents passed away, Yuhan was already 10 years old and had long since formed his own memories. But all he remembers is that before they left, Mom and Dad held my hand and told me to take good care of my little brother, yet he forgot that they also said, "Tell him to study hard, help his sister with the housework, and look out for her." But he, being so selfish, didn't manage to do a single one of them. So I deliberately made it sound difficult when I told him, "You transferred all the money out of my account, how am I supposed to buy groceries now?" It's not that I don't want to cook, it's just that we're out of rice. Yuhan's face darkened, and he was left speechless. In the past, I would rather have suffered myself than let him suffer. But things are different now. Starting today, I'm done helping this poor guy. Yuhan froze for a few seconds, but quickly came to his senses and stammered, "If you don't have any money, why don't you just borrow some? There are plenty of online lending options these days, and they disperse funds really fast." His brazen arrogance almost made me laugh. He actually wants me to take out an online loan for him? I retorted sarcastically, "Borrow? And after I borrow it, how am I supposed to pay it back?" "Yuhan, if it really were as easy as you make it sound, why don't you take out an online loan yourself?" He couldn't refute me, so he just kept bringing up his own school days. "But my studies are what really matter, and since I'm a senior in high school, I really need to make sure I'm getting enough nutrition. Otherwise, how would I have the energy to go to class?" When I heard that, all I could do was scoff. I was too lazy to listen to his lies anymore, so I called him out right away. "Yuhan, I called your teacher, and he said he never told you to buy any materials at all. What on earth did you do with the money?" At that, Yuhan seemed to lose his temper completely, glaring at me in a fit of anger and humiliation. "Did you call my teacher?" "You Wanwan. What do you mean? I'm your own brother. Don't you trust me? I said buying study materials means just buying study materials. You're not in school anymore, what do you know? Can you just mind your own business?" I looked at him calmly. "Well, I was just asking. From now on, do whatever you want, I won't interfere anymore." I said it with a hint of deeper meaning, but to Yuhan, it sounded like I was backing down. He seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. "Sis, that's the right thing to do. You absolutely mustn't call my teacher again to ask all sorts of questions. Otherwise, I'd lose face." Face? That's right, he's always dressed to the nines, has no sense of frugality, and cares deeply about saving face in front of his classmates. But he seems to have forgotten that the respect he enjoys now is all thanks to me. I dropped out of school to work, laboring day and night to earn every penny for him. Just then, Yuhan suddenly received a phone call. While talking to the other person, his voice unconsciously softened considerably. "I know, it must be Zheng Qian. She came to ask him out." Yuhan quickly packed up and was about to head out again. Before leaving, he made sure to remind me. "A classmate asked me to meet up, so I went out to eat. Sis, you better figure out a way to borrow some money, otherwise, how am I supposed to spend anything tomorrow?" Whenever Yuhan went out late at night, I couldn't help but ask him a few extra questions. Now, I can't wait for him to never come back. Besides, if I remember correctly, he really won't be coming back tonight. I can't forget this day from my past life. I got off work late that day and saw with my own eyes as Yuhan walked into a dark, smoke-filled internet cafe. I ran after him in disbelief and found him mingling with the crowd, smoking with the ease of a 30-year veteran. He didn't look anything like a high school senior at all. Zheng Qian, wearing an off-the-shoulder princess dress with a butterfly tattoo faintly visible on her shoulder, sat next to Yuhan, behaving affectionately toward him. Every now and then, she would lean in close to Yuhan's ear and whisper something, making him blush all over. Just as I stood there in shock, hesitating over whether to take Yuhan home, a group of thugs suddenly stormed into the internet cafe. The man who was leading the group claimed that Yuhan had stolen his girlfriend. It turns out that while Zheng Qian was pursuing Yuhan, she had never fully cut ties with her ex. Without a word, that group of people started attacking Yuhan. Seeing that things were taking a turn for the worse, I rushed forward and shielded Yuhan with my body. Even if I were to live my life all over again, I would still remember that scene and the pain it caused with extraordinary clarity. The iron bar came down on the person with no mercy. The internet cafe was in complete chaos, and even bystanders were scared away. But from start to finish, Zheng Qian just stood there crying pitifully, repeating those two sentences. "Stop fighting, all of you. If you keep this up, someone's going to get hurt." That day, I shielded Yuhan with my body, and he wasn't hurt at all. As for me, I was beaten so badly that I coughed up blood. Almost every bone in my body ached, and with both external and internal injuries piling up, I ended up at the hospital where I received 11 stitches. I had to stay in bed for a full month before I could get up. But what about now? What's it to me? The punches and blows that should have landed on him in my past life, I took them for him. In this lifetime, it's time for him to taste it for himself. Sure enough, around midnight, I got a call from the police. They said Yuhan got into a fight with someone at the internet cafe and asked me to pay the fine. Not only did I not go, but I even turned off my phone and slept soundly until noon the next day. It wasn't until my stomach growled softly that I opened my eyes. It wasn't until I woke up that I realized in my previous life, after becoming disabled from the waist down, I had been constantly subjected to Yuhan's cold stares and tormented by illness. I hadn't slept this soundly in a very long time. I turned on my phone without rushing. My screen is full of missed calls. I called the teacher first. The homeroom teacher asked with concern, Yuhan didn't come to school today. Did something happen?" In the past, I would definitely have covered for Yuhan to keep up the pretense that he was a good student. But right now, I couldn't care less. I sighed into the phone and adopted a resigned tone. "Teacher, Yuhan blamed me last night for calling you, and we had a huge fight. He hasn't come home yet." The police called and asked me to come to the station. They said he got into a fight and caused trouble. "I'm really sorry for the trouble this has caused you." After venting to Yuhan's teacher for a while, I finally hung up the phone, still feeling like I hadn't said everything I wanted to. By the time I arrived at the police station, Yuhan was still being held in the station's temporary detention facility. When the police officer saw me, he didn't look too pleased and asked me how I was raising my child. It was only then that I realized this time around, things were actually turning out quite differently from my previous life. Halfway through the beating Yuhan was receiving, for some reason, Zheng Qian didn't start crying and whining like she had in her previous life. Instead, she summoned another group of people. In the end, what started as Yuhan being beaten up by one side turned into a brawl between the two sides. The police told me. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured. "I'll pay a 200 yuan fine today, and then I'll have to serve 5 days in jail. Come back in 5 days to pick them up." I couldn't help but sigh inwardly, what a pity, it was only 5 days. However, we really can't keep him locked up for too long. After all, the best is yet to come. Without him, the show can't go on. I filed a request with the police and obtained Yuhan's cell phone. Just as Yuhan knows my cell phone passcode, I also know his transfer passcode. Sure enough, of the 1,000 yuan he had snatched from me yesterday, there was still a little over 300 left. It's barely enough to cover the fine. In this life, let him take responsibility for his own mistakes and pay off his own debts. It's just that. As I was leaving the police station, I saw Zheng Qian. The people who got into a fight last night were the ones she called over. But she was quite crafty. While all her brothers were arrested, she managed to slip away early on. But who would have thought he'd show up at the police station again? Could it be that they came to see Yuhan? Based on the timeline of this life, Zheng Qian probably doesn't know me yet. But that one glance we shared made me realize, no, wait, she had come to find me. "You Wanwan." Sure enough, she called out my name. I raised an eyebrow in surprise and asked, feigning confusion, "Who are you?" She looked me over, a hint of suspicion in her eyes, and tilted her head as she asked, "Last night, why didn't you come to the internet cafe to look for Yuhan?" I asked in return, "Should I go find him?" Zheng Qian stared at me for a moment longer, then said nothing more and walked away with her bag. At that moment, I was certain that she, too, had been reborn. 5 days later, Yuhan was released from the detention center. I didn't go to pick him up. Zheng Qian accompanied him home. When I got home, I saw that he was bruised and battered, and even his collar was torn to shreds. As you can imagine, 5 days ago, the competition at the internet cafe was still pretty intense. As soon as Yuhan saw me, he gave me a sour look and, without caring that Zheng Qian was still watching nearby, started accusing me. "Sis, why did you use my money to pay the fine? And why didn't you come see me? Why didn't you get me out of there sooner? How am I supposed to show my face in public after this?" I almost burst out laughing at his line of questioning, but sticking to the principle of playing my part to the end, I told him seriously, "Yuhan, have you forgotten? My sister already told you, I'm out of money. Besides, I'd like to help you out too, but I don't have any connections." Yuhan's expression changed several times, but in the end, he said nothing more. Instead, he tugged gently on Zheng Qian's hand and introduced her to me. "Sis, this is Zheng Qian. She's a really nice person. If she hadn't taken a blow for me last night, they might have smashed my head in." I narrowed my eyes and looked at Zheng Qian. This was only the second time we'd met in my life. In her previous life, Zheng Qian married someone else less than 2 years after breaking up with Yuhan and went on to have 3 children in a row. Later, she learned that Yuhan had achieved both fame and fortune and had become a CEO, so she tried to find him. However, she went to ask Yuhan to find a job for her husband. By that time, Zheng Qian had been worn down by life to the point of unrecognizability. When Yuhan saw her again, he realized that the moonlight of his past had turned into plain white rice, leaving him with nothing but regret and heartache. Zheng Qian must have regretted it, too. After all, if she had been able to hold out for a few more years in her previous life, she could have become the CEO's wife. Because of my interference, she lost Yuhan, who had great potential. But at that very moment, no matter how composed she appeared, I could still see the ambition in her eyes. It seems she's bound to become the CEO's wife someday. I gave Zheng Qian a forced, friendly smile. "Ha! That's great, Yuhan. Since you like her, you'd better treat her well." Zheng Qian's expression froze, and she looked at me with great surprise. Yuhan was also confused. "Sis. What? Do I look like some old-fashioned, narrow-minded person? Isn't it perfectly normal for young people to date?" "Thanks, sis. You're so sweet, sis." That really is ironic. I dropped out of school to work for him, getting up at the crack of dawn and working late into the night, yet I never even got a single thank you. Just because I agreed to let him date Zheng Qian, does that mean I'm suddenly a good older sister? Well, let's see. Now that I'm no longer standing in their way, what kind of outcome will they face? I didn't feel like dealing with them, so I left under the pretext of going to work. After all, there are more important things to do today. Guided by my memories from my past life, I made my way to West City Park. Following the walking path, I came to a secluded lakeside and sat down on a bench. There was an old man fishing by the lake. The sun was shining gently, and his silhouette looked very relaxed. But I was tense all over and didn't dare let my guard down for a moment. Sure enough, before long, the old man clutched his heart, looked distressed, and plunged headfirst into the lake. I immediately ran over, grabbed the elderly man just in the nick of time, laid him flat on the ground, called an ambulance for him, and then began administering first aid based on the emergency response knowledge I'd crammed in over the past few days. It's close to the hospital, so the ambulance gets here quickly. I accompanied the elderly man all the way to the hospital, and it wasn't until his family arrived that I felt at ease. After giving the doctor my phone number, I left. I'm not lay phone. When I do a good deed, I make sure to get my name out there. If you don't leave your name, how will people find you? Sure enough, before evening even rolled around, someone came to visit. The other person arrived in a luxury car. She claimed to be the elderly man's daughter and had come specifically to thank me, saying she was so glad her father had met such a kind person. Seeing how sincere she was, I actually felt a little embarrassed. After all, even though I saved someone, I did so with an ulterior motive. I've always made it a habit to watch the news. I clearly remember that in my previous life, I took a beating for Yuhan at an internet cafe. On the 5th day of my hospital stay, a news story broke that shocked the entire city. It turns out that the city's wealthiest man suffered a sudden heart attack while fishing in the park, fell into the deep lake, and was found dead. So, during those 5 days that Yuhan was detained, I spent the entire time learning all kinds of first aid techniques. I did it. Miss you, my father really owes his survival to you this time. Is there anything you need me to do for you? Just let me know. The other person got straight to the point. I nodded and said bluntly, I'm sure you've already looked into my family's situation before coming here. As you can see, we're not very well off. If possible, could you please help me find a private tutor? Someone who specializes in preparing for the college entrance exams. It doesn't have to be for very long, just 6 months would be enough. The other person paused for a moment. She kept asking me to confirm, is a teacher enough? Don't you need any financial assistance? I nodded. Yes, I just want to repeat the year and then get into college. She agreed, but before she left, she still managed to slip a bank card into my hand. Please keep this card. If you refuse to take it, I won't find another one for you. I can tell you really want to go to school, but please accept this gift from us. In that case, I won't stand on ceremony anymore. After all, I really am short on money right now. It's just that. This card is too flashy. I'm afraid it might catch the eye of someone on the inside. When Yuhan returned home, he kicked the door open. You Wanwan. What did you say in front of my teacher? Why do all my classmates and teachers know about the fight? How do you think they'll look at me now? You have to go to my school tomorrow and explain it to them. Just tell them you're the one lying, I didn't get into a fight, and I didn't end up at the police station. Otherwise, I gave him a meaningful look and asked, otherwise, what would you do? Otherwise, I won't go to school. After saying that, Yuhan shot me a defiant glance. He was certain that I would give in because of this. But he didn't expect that I would actually nod readily and agree to his request. All right, stop reading. Let's go drop out tomorrow. You're old enough now, so you can get a job and earn money to support yourself. The smile on Yuhan's lips froze instantly. He paused for a moment, his eyes filled with disbelief. He never expected me to take his words at face value. In his mind, as long as he says he doesn't want to study, I'll go along with whatever he wants, no matter what. He snapped out of it and asked in shock, Sis? What did you say? I picked my ear. Didn't you hear me? I said if you don't want to go to school, then don't go. There's absolutely no way I'm going to lie for you. Sis, that's not what I meant. Yuhan opened his mouth in a daze, then turned his head and spotted the bank card on the table. Without a word, he stepped forward and took it from her, speaking in an exceptionally courteous tone. Sis? I heard you saved some rich guy, and now he's come to give you money? How much did he give you? Is it enough for me to spend? As he spoke, he slipped the card into his pants pocket. It never even crossed my mind to leave something behind for my older sister. I watched his whole routine coldly, unable to suppress a sneer deep down. I told him calmly, "There's 20,000 on this card." As soon as he heard the number, he couldn't help but furrow his brow. "Why didn't you order more?" "He's a millionaire, he's not short on money. Why not just have him send us an apartment and a car? This makes it easier for me to get to school. I only have 20,000 yuan right now." "Is that enough?" I was so angry I had to laugh. He certainly has a big appetite. I took a moment to collect my thoughts, then began to act as if I were panicking. "Yuhan, hand over your card. You're just a student, what are you going to do with all that money?" Yuhan's expression changed, and his gaze toward me took on a hint of disgust. "Sis, let go. Give me that money, you can just consider it a loan. Didn't you agree to let me date Zheng Qian? Dating costs money, you don't mind, do you?" Of course I refused. I clung to Yuhan with all my might, trying to wrestle the bank card away from him. Yuhan, drawing on strength from who knows where, shoved me to the ground in one swift motion, his tone ruthless. "Zheng Qian told me, you don't really support us being together," but I didn't believe her. "If I hadn't come back unexpectedly, were you planning to pocket this money for yourself?" I stared coldly at Yuhan, but he showed no sign of stopping and continued to say, "Everyone makes fun of me for having a dishwasher, did you know that? If you'd listened to your uncle sooner and taken a job as a server at the KTV, would I have been made fun of? You Wanwan, have you lived up to your parents' dying wishes?" Even though I had already witnessed Yuhan's ruthlessness in my past life, hearing him say such heartbreaking words again still makes me feel a surge of anger. To Yuhan, I wasn't his sister at all, I was just a nanny. But I don't owe him anything at all. I stood up and slowly moved toward him. "Yuhan, I'm only 2 years older than you. In this world, everyone is an independent individual, and I have no obligation to take care of you. Besides, I don't believe you don't know that the KTV hostess's uncle was talking about are basically hostesses who serve drinks. Does that mean as long as you have money to spend, you don't care at all about how your own sister feel?" Word by word, I forced Yuhan to instinctively take a few steps back, and he lowered his head, looking guilty. No, it's not like that, sis." Yuhan could barely speak coherently. But I still saw a flash of resentment in his eyes. However, I deliberately pretended not to notice and raised my hand to give him a light pat on the shoulder. "Yuhan, you're a grown man now, so I can't keep meddling in your affairs. Take this money, I won't ask what you do with it, but everyone must take responsibility for their own actions." Yuhan couldn't care less about all that. As soon as he heard that I agreed to give him the money, his expression immediately softened considerably. He said coldly, "Sis, once I've made something of myself, I'll definitely take good care of you." My face showed emotion and relief, but inside I was scoffing. After he became the CEO of a publicly traded company in his past life, he really did work me to death with his filial piety. However, those 20,000 yuan were a decoy I set up from the very beginning. It's specifically meant to feed a hungry dog. Yuhan, at best, he was nothing more than a little puppy. The real hungry dogs haven't shown up yet. So, it's still far from certain whether he'll actually get his hands on that money. Just as I was thinking about that, a deep, off-key male voice came from outside the door. "Hey, is everyone home?" Just right. Here comes a real hungry dog. Yuhan turned around, saw who it was, and his expression froze. "Uncle? What are you doing here?" "Our uncle is a compulsive gambler. He never comes to visit us." What else could be the reason for this sudden visit today? Dogs are always drawn by the scent. My uncle pretended to show some concern for us. Yuhan gave a few half-hearted replies. But I didn't even say a word. Seeing that I was ignoring him, a look of displeasure and reproach appeared on his face. "Wanwan, why don't you say hello to your uncle anymore? In my previous life, after I turned down my uncle's offer to work as a server at a KTV, he became particularly displeased with me and would constantly try to drive a wedge between me and Yuhan behind my back. Later, I became disabled in a fall, and Yuhan held a grudge against me. It was also him who repeatedly urged Yuhan to just get rid of me. Ahem, I heard you saved an old man, Wanwan, the richest guy in our city no less, and he gave you quite a bit of money? As he spoke, my uncle's eyes sparkled, and he made no attempt to hide the scheming look in them. I glanced at Yuhan. He shook his head slightly at me, and I instinctively clenched my fist in my pocket. You want me to keep quiet? You can dream on. Yuhan certainly never imagined that his uncle would get the news and rush over so quickly. Of course I leaked that information on purpose. That's right, uncle. They gave me 20,000 as a thank you gift, but it stuck with Yuhan. My uncle immediately adopted the demeanor of an elder. Fong Fong, you're really something. 20,000 yuan, how could you give that to Yuhan's child? Good thing uncle came by today, let him hold on to it for you. Yuhan looked hesitant. It was clear he didn't want to, but faced with his tall, burly uncle, he obviously couldn't act too defiant. What's the matter? Don't you trust your uncle? My uncle's expression grew serious, and his brows were furrowed tightly. This time, Yuhan was surprisingly stubborn as well. Uncle! This is money my sister gave me. I'm not a kid anymore, I'll take good care of it. Seeing that Yuhan wasn't willing, his uncle decided to go all out and reached out to grab it. Before they knew it, the two of them had actually started fighting. TSK, an uncle and nephew have fallen out. When dogs fight, they end up with a mouthful of fur. I stood by and calmly watched the show unfold. It wasn't until they had almost finished fighting that I deliberately shouted out loud, Yuhan! How could you fight with your uncle? He just wants money, just give it to him. The entrance had long been crowded with people. There was a buzz of conversation among the crowd. Oh my, I thought Yuhan was such a good kid, and now he's actually getting physical with an elder? Pfft, didn't Yuhan get into a fight over a girl just the other day? I saw it with my own eyes. If you ask me, that uncle isn't a good person either. The two kids from the Yu family are orphaned, and yet he still tries to steal their money. He's a real beast. If you have no shame, you're invincible. In the end, Yuhan was still a little less thick-skinned than his uncle. In the end, the card ended up in my uncle's hands. I told him the password without hesitation. I know that in less than a week, he'll have gambled all this money away. Still, spending 20,000 yuan to completely drive a wedge between him and Yuhan and ruin their relationship was at least put to good use. As for Yuhan, after having 20,000 yuan stolen from him, he was so furious that he ran away from home and went to find Zheng Qian. I can't be bothered with him. If he wants to leave, let him go, at least I'll have some peace and quiet. But what they don't know is, actually, the thank you gift the rich man's daughter gave me wasn't 20,000 at all, it was 2 million. I transferred the money right away, leaving only 20,000 yuan as bait. Actually, I still have 1,980,000. Ever since I stopped worrying about Yuhan, I felt much more relaxed and fulfilled. Every day, I'm either in tutoring sessions or on my way to the library. Over the past month, Yuhan's teacher has called me several times to say that Yuhan hasn't been coming to school, has been skipping classes and leaving early, and to ask me to encourage him to study hard. I just gave a perfunctory response. I didn't say a single word to persuade Yuhan. We all choose our own paths. I will never take responsibility for him again. That day, just as I was about to head to my tutoring session, Yuhan, whom I hadn't seen in a whole month, suddenly showed up with Zheng Qian. As soon as he opened his mouth, he dropped a bombshell. Sis! Zheng Qian is pregnant, I'm going to marry her. I was so stunned that my bag almost fell to the ground. Pregnant? I glanced suspiciously at Zheng Qian's stomach. Yuhan immediately showed me a report. Is she really pregnant? Okay, we definitely have to lock it down. I gave a polite smile. Fine, if you want to get married, go ahead and get married. Yuhan tilted his chin smugly at Zheng Qian. Qian, see? I told you, my sister would definitely agree. Zheng Qian stared at me with a complex expression. Sis, are you really okay with this? Don't you think I've held Yuhan back in his studies? Of course, I was well aware of Zheng Qian's suspicions. She's been reborn, she's not that easy to fool. As soon as my behavior differs from how it was in my previous life, she'll become suspicious. But I'm not worried. I sincerely say. Qian, what are you saying? I can tell that Yuhan genuinely cares for you. Since he's willing to take responsibility, how could I possibly object? The way I see it, Yuhan might as well just stop going to school. Without a moment's hesitation, Zheng Qian immediately interrupted me. No way! Yuhan has to study. I feigned exasperation and sighed, saying, Qian, it's not that I don't want Yuhan to go to school. It's just that, as you know, our family's situation is. Our family isn't well off, so if you two get married it'll be one more expense, not to mention the child. I really can't afford it, it's all because I'm not good enough. Zheng Qian's expression suddenly changed. Yuhan absolutely must read this book. She clenched her teeth and said with determination, I have money, I can help my sister raise this child. I was at a loss for words, so you're going to drag me into this too, huh? Looks like I'd better get away from these two troublemakers as soon as possible. Later on, I don't know exactly what Yuhan said, but Zheng Qian's family actually relented and agreed to let them get married. Without even having a wedding reception, Zheng Qian moved right into our home. But on the very first day she moved in, I made up an excuse about finding a job that provided room and board, and I took off. If not now, then when? Zheng Qian has memories of her past life, and she is certain that Yuhan will one day achieve great success in his career. Every day, she dreams of becoming a CEO's wife. Even when Yuhan stopped going to school and spent his days at home eating, drinking, and having fun, she continued to take care of him with dedication. That is, until the school issued a notice stating that Yuhan was to be expelled. Only then did Zheng Qian come to me in a panic. I saw this day coming a long time ago. When Zheng Qian arrived, I just gave her a cold smile. He's going to get fired, what can I do about it? I'm just a lousy dishwasher, am I supposed to hang myself with a rope right outside the school gate? Zheng Qian, feeling helpless, cried out in supplication. Sis! You're the only one who can keep Yuhan in line. You don't know, but lately Yuhan has become obsessed with drinking. He spends all day drinking himself into a stupor with that gang of hoodlums out there. When I tried to convince him to go to school, he actually hit me. Sis, you can't just let Yuhan keep wallowing in self-pity like this. What about his future? After a brief pause, she finally couldn't hold back any longer and spoke her mind. Yuhan is going to be a CEO someday. I let out a sarcastic chuckle. CEO? As if he's worthy. At Zheng Qian's insistence, I reluctantly went home for a visit. Sure enough, Yuhan was lying in bed, completely drunk. Just a month ago, he was still a cool, handsome, and brilliant senior in high school. In just 1 month, he had transformed into this Camite alternative-style kid standing right in front of me. I don't know who he picked it up from, but he actually had 7 or 8 piercings in his ears, with jingling metal rings hanging from them. Even from a distance, I could smell the scent of smoke and alcohol on him. Just as Zheng Qian thought I was about to do something, I slapped her across the face with the back of my hand. Is this how you take care of Yuhan? You're the one who made him turn out this way. Zheng Qian covered her face in disbelief and shook her head vigorously. No, that's not it. I've always been so good to him, and I believe he'll get into Tsinghua and become a CEO. I asked back with a cold smile. With a guy like him, he's actually the CEO? Zheng Qian, take a good look, you're the one who ruined my brother. Why don't you go out and hear what people are saying about him? Yuhan was also woken up by our commotion, and he looked quite surprised to see me there. I told him that Zheng Qian had come to me to complain. Brother, now that you're married, I can't keep meddling in your affairs anymore. You have to take good care of your own wife. Zheng Qian stared at me in surprise. The next moment, Yuhan, his face dark with anger, dragged her into the room. Before long, Zheng Qian's pleading voice could be heard from inside. I don't have much time to mess around with them. After all, I'm going to take the college entrance exam too. According to my original plan, I was supposed to repeat the year and then take the college entrance exam. Unable to resist the power of money, the elderly man I saved insisted on thanking me again, so he helped me get my student status sorted out. That way, I won't have to repeat the year. Although I didn't take the college entrance exam in my previous life, since I was disabled and couldn't go out, whenever I was bored, I would study the annual college entrance exam papers. During those years, while I was effectively held captive by Yuhan, I worked through those college entrance exam papers countless times. In this life, with top-notch tutors helping me with my studies, my grades have already skyrocketed. So, even if I were to take this year's college entrance exam, I wouldn't be afraid. However, after that, it's unclear what method Zheng Qian used, but the school surprisingly relented and agreed not to expel Yuhan, allowing him to take the college entrance exam as scheduled. Zheng Qian was over the moon. She went around bragging to everyone she met that her husband was sure to get into Tsinghua University. Time flies. Before we knew it, it was time for the college entrance exam scores to be released. Just as I expected, Yuhan didn't even get into a community college. I nervously stared at the screen at the internet cafe as I typed in my exam number, waiting until the moment my score popped up. 698. The regret from my past life has finally been made up for in this moment. It's a shame, when some people are happy, others are bound to be disappointed. Zheng Qian simply couldn't bring herself to believe that the promising young man she had set her sights on hadn't even been accepted into a community college. She demanded to know what Yuhan was up to. Yuhan, overcome with anger and humiliation, slapped her so hard she fell to the ground, and Zheng Qian suffered a miscarriage as a result. Isn't that true love? Amid the drudgery of daily life, their true love doesn't seem to be worth much. When I went to the hospital to see her, the moment she saw me, she acted like she had gone crazy. No, none of this is right. It's not supposed to be like this. It's you. You're the one who stole the future that belonged to Yuhan. You've come back after being reborn, too, right? Why? Yuhan is your brother, after all. I watched her lose her mind with a cold stare and calmly told her, "What's wrong with my little brother again? Do you think Yuhan was able to make a name for himself in his previous life all on his own? If it weren't for me, his hardworking and self-sacrificing older sister, he'd be nothing." Zheng Qian lay listlessly in the hospital room. Seeing the vacant look on her face, I felt a surge of satisfaction. No sooner had I left the ward than the ventilator in the room began to sound an urgent alarm. Immediately afterward, several doctors rushed into the ward. Whatever happens after that is none of my business. I ran into Yuhan again at a karaoke bar. The men and women inside were huddled together in a chaotic scene. Yuhan danced around with a frenzied expression. He was clearly not in his right mind. I saw the little red pills on their table. I didn't go inside. I just kindly called the police for them. The police arrived quickly and took them away, and when Yuhan saw me in the distance, he actually tried to call for help. I silently opened my mouth at him. I called the police. Yuhan tried frantically to rush toward me, but the police mistook his actions for an attempt to resist and immediately knocked him to the ground with a stun gun. As the results came out, word that I had been admitted to a top-tier university spread like wildfire. The richest man in town, my grandfather, went out of his way to invite me over to host a banquet to celebrate my admission to college. Looking back now, I realize I saved the old man's life for my own purposes, but he was genuinely looking out for me. If even a stranger is like this, what about you, Han? I poured my heart out to him, and what did I get in return? If he died of illness on the street, he had it coming. I originally thought Yuhan had just been talked into doing drugs, but I never expected that he was actually the one who organized it. That sentence was for 20 years. Before the semester started, I went to see him. Yuhan had his hair cut short, his face was covered in stubble, and he looked particularly haggard. When he saw me coming, his eyes filled with tears, and his choked voice came through the observation window. "Sis. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. I'm sorry." As he spoke his words of apology, there was no remorse in his eyes. I saw right through him at a glance. "Yuhan, are you still counting on me to rescue you?" He stared at me with a grim expression, speaking slowly and deliberately. "You Wanwan, don't you know that richest man? Go ask him for help. You saved his life once, he's sure to help. Go ask him." I snorted. "Yuhan, give it up. Have you forgotten? The one who got you in here was me. Why on earth would I save you?" Yuhan's expression darkened, and a fierce, murderous glint flashed in his eyes. But what could he possibly do to me now? It's just the rage of the incompetent. I calmly told him, "Zheng Qian died from massive bleeding, and her parents say you're the murderer, they won't let this go." I wasn't pulling his leg. Zheng Qian's parents are going to sue him for rape and intentional assault. After all, they aren't exactly a legitimate married couple. Barring any surprises, Yuhan will face cumulative sentencing for multiple crimes, and he'll essentially have a secure job for the rest of his life. Later, I cut off all contact with my relatives and stopped trying to find out anything about Yuhan. After graduating from college, I used the thank you gift I received from the daughter of the country's richest man at the time as my seed money to start my own business. I own my own company. The company turned a profit in its very first year. The following year, the company's business expansion accelerated, and its revenue tripled, resulting in a net profit of 30 million. The next time I heard news about Yuhan, it turned out he had taken his own life in prison. I heard that not long after he went to prison, he lost his mind and spent all day rambling. He kept saying that he was the one who should have gotten into Tsinghua, that he was the one who should have been the cream of the crop. Before he died, he wrote me a letter containing just 5 words. "Sis, I'm sorry." He was apologizing to my past self. I took just one look at it, then tore the letter to shreds and threw it in the trash. Unfortunately, in her previous life, Wanwan had already died in the freezing snow. I am no longer the person I was in my previous life. All that has gone before is as though it had died yesterday. All that lies ahead is my new life.